एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयम् लिख्यते हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वम् चिन्वता मच्यता पानचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तथा भावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिये दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्. Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday Satsang from Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning. It has been our usual practice to read from Guruvachaka Kovai, the work by Muruganar Swamigal. We will be reading 2 verses selected for us. Each verse reading will be followed by a short meditation on its meaning, and that shall be followed by a practice session of 10 minutes of self-inquiry. After these 2 segments of verse reading, meditation on meaning, and practice of Atma Vicharam are completed, there will be summing up remarks by Shri Venkatesh Deshpande ji, and that shall be followed by an offering of Sri Ramana Stotram. The chanting will be by Vaibhav ji and Pratnama, and the floral offering shall be by Manjunath ji from right here. We begin this evening's satsang by going to the first verse selected for us, verse number 150. We find this in the first segment, investigation into truth. Of course, the prefatory verses are there, and the three main segments are investigation into truth, meditation on the truth, and experience of the truth. We find 150 in investigation into truth under the subhead Prarabdha's way. Prarabdha's way, 150. Those who have realized that Prarabdha itself serves up one's food and other necessities for sustaining the body will never feel anxious or agitated about food. You should know that for all people, whether they desire it or not, that ordained food will not fail to come. Of course, we can include, as it was mentioned earlier, the other necessities. I'll read the verse again. There are a few notes which we can go into. The verse goes like this. Those who have realized that Prarabdha itself serves up one's food and other necessities for sustaining the body will never feel anxious or agitated about food. You should know that for all people, whether they desire it or not, that ordained food will not fail to come. Prarabdha is the karma that determines the course of one's current life. Since Prarabdha is deemed to be a fixed and unchangeable sequence of events, it is sometimes translated as destiny. Muruganar. Those who are firmly convinced that Prarabdha will take care of the body will not feel anxious and wander about seeking food and so on. All the enjoyments ordained by Prarabdha will surely come. Hence, it is clear that accepting and rejecting are deluding activities of the mind. There is a note from Living by the Words of Annamalai Swami. I, Annamalai Swami, have this desire to live in a place where nobody visits. I feel another desire to get food without any effort. I also want to meditate constantly with my eyes closed without seeing the world at all. These desires often come to me. Are they good or bad? Asks Annamalai Swami to Bhagavan. I'll read his question again. I, Annamalai Swami, have this desire to live in a place where nobody visits. I feel another desire to get food without any effort. I also want to meditate constantly with my eyes closed, without seeing the world at all. These desires often come to me. Are they good or bad? Bhagavan replied, one who leads a righteous life will never make plans of this sort. Why? Because God has already decided what will happen to us even before sending us into this world. I'll read Bhagavan's reply. One who leads a righteous life will never make plans of this sort. Why? Because God has already decided what will happen to us even before sending us into this world. Now, interestingly, a month or shortly before a month, I think, before Venkateshji, Kameshwarji and I, we were in the Ramana center in Sanjay Nagar. Kameshwarji had come down from Chennai and we had set up inquiring with him what book he was writing. And he was kind enough to say that it was on a Mahatma. And one of the incidents, that Mahatma had this ability to produce food wherever some gathering is there and he is also there. Food will not be in short supply, let us say like that. And wherever needed, it will be clear that his Siddhi would bring the food. And people uh, respected him, greatly revered him for that. But the secret behind it, he revealed, it appears in to a question by one of his devotees or disciples. They asked, how does this happen? How does this Siddhi happen that whenever you are there, the food adjusts itself and enough is brought to cover the whole gathering? Then his reply is in tune with what we have seen in this verse. His reply was that, and Rameshwarji put it so beautifully, that I don't do anything. Each one has come into this world with his own tiffin box. So that was his reply. The tiffin box is the prarabdha, and even the one with the siddhi, he says that he does not do anything, that it is merely the prarabdha fulfilling itself. And it so happens that it fulfills in this manner, that each one comes with their own tiffin box, he says. So his doership is clearly not there, though it is a uncommon and a great siddhi where Bhagavan cautions that if one is careless, one can get doership in such special abilities. So that how he teaches us that ability also he offers off to prarabdha by saying that everybody gets as per their prarabdha. So it is my prarabdha that I appear that I seem to be the person who is giving, but it is not like that. Everybody brings the tiffin box with them when they come here. Says the result of this is that how do we understand that it is God who is pushing us into consuming the food? Because someone would ask Bhagavan, now I put my food in the mouth, should I chew or not? And Bhagavan would say these doubts come so far as the ego is there. Once the ego is gone, these doubts will go. Now what does that exactly mean? How do we understand that it is prarabdha that is pushing us? That question had come to me when about 20 years ago, I think, 2002 or 2003, when in one of the discussions with a class that I was conducting, the question from the student to me was, it was personality development initiating class, but the question from the student was, what is the connection between God's will, which is destiny here, and the free will of human beings? And I did not know the answer there. And I had the humility to tell I didn't know, and Bhagavan, through that student, opened up the path to enquiry and all that. And I started into inquiring into thoughts and all after that. But the point is, how do we know that it is God's will that is being carried out? The only way to understand that is uditha idathil odungi iruthal. That our sole job is to offer the free will back to God. Offer the inverted commas free will back to God, so that it is clearly the push. 2 days ago when Akka and I were speaking, Akka was saying that when the human being's volition comes down, the undudal of the free will comes down, then the same limited being is able to feel that it is God who is getting things done. Or our prarabdha prakaram adarkanavan aangang irundu aati vippan. According to each jiva's prarabdha, that Ishvara Shakti remaining within that Jiva will see to it that that event is carried out. Hence, that which is to happen, the food morsel or the words that have to fall in the ear, that have to happen, will happen. Try what you may to stop it. That which will not happen will not happen. Try however much you may to make it happen. This is certain, Bhagavan says. Hence, the best course is to remain silent. The best course is for the ego to remain still. So, the best course is to pay attention to from where the I thought is born, from where the ego is born. Then clearly how all the instruments are being operated by prarabdha is very clear to the consciousness that is still, that has offered the ego back to the source. To such a consciousness, the fulfillment of destiny, they say in various cultures that God's grace allows us to fulfill our destiny. They say, what exactly does that mean? The anxiety to accept or reject is only a delusion. The verse says, the Muruganar Swamigal says, it is clear that accepting and rejecting are merely delusory activities. For the ego to be silent and still and quiet, then it will be clear that it is Bhagavan who is pushing the instruments to go and do their activities. That is, the non-doership becomes very clear when the ego surrenders itself to the source. It's so clear that it is all happening only by God's will. The prarabdha will surely see to it that what is to reach us will definitely reach us. What is not to happen, what is not to reach us, will not. So the best course is to remain silent and still. And that's what we are going to practice in Atma Ucharan for the next 10 minutes. When the ego, in its fancy, wants to follow thoughts, wants to develop its ability to analyze thoughts, Bhagavan says, do not follow thoughts. Enquire, for whom is this thought? The answer will come, the thought has arisen for me. Who am I? Will quieten the ego. Will quieten the ego by taking it to the source. With repeated practice of taking the ego back to its source, one gains this ability to remain at the source effortlessly and abide as the self. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in practice for the next 10 minutes. Revatima, you can set us the alarm.
Yes, Uncle, I'll set it.
Yes. Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang by going to the second verse selected for us. Verse number 1133. This is in the segment experience of the truth. Those in whom vasanas have died. Experience of the truth. Those in whom vasanas have died. 1133. A person who is present in the assembly of those listening to a Puranic exposition, but who has actually directed his mind to some object far, far away, has in truth not heard any of the exposition despite having appeared to have listened to it. Likewise, those with vasanas, those with minds whose vasanas have died, though they may appear to perform many actions with their attention on them, in truth have not done any of them. A person who is present in the assembly of those listening to a Puranic exposition, but who has actually directed his mind to some object far, far away, has in truth not heard any of the exposition, despite having appeared to have listened to it. Likewise, those with minds whose vasanas have died, though they may appear to perform many actions with their attention on them, in truth have not done any of them. So, it is in the same lines as the previous verse, but here even the explanation of prarabdha is not there. The explanation of prarabdha was there in the previous verse, that the one whose ego is inward turned and subdued at the source, I said, in that consciousness, there can be this feeling how God pushes everybody into action, pushes all the limited beings into actions when the mind is subdued. For instance, when I used to practice in Tiruvannamalai in the year 2004, there would be days when I would have to come to Bangalore as per the appointments fixed with various people here. But I would go to the ashram. My main residence was in Tiruvannamalai then. I used to come to Bangalore and go as and when required. There, morning 4:30, the meditation hall would be open and I would go there. And many days, even though the appointment was there, the thought to come to Bangalore would not be there. That means the Atma-Vicharam given by Bhagavan would be strong enough to allow the stay at the source. There will be no thought of coming to Bangalore. It will eventually turn out that that trip was not required. But on some days, the thought that I should go to Bangalore I will not be able to subdue it. I will not be able to put it down. It will be so overwhelming that I'll have to get up from the meditation hall and take the bus. And then it will turn out that it was necessary also at that time that when we do self-inquiry, I said, we can actually see how Ishvara pushes the actions for the limited body to do that cannot be avoided, Bhagavan says. And the best way is to surrender the ego to the source so that one can see that it is something far deeper than the ego that is pushing the instruments to do the actions. So the prarabdha, how it plans and goes through, or how Ishvara runs the course, we are able to get a glimpse by being still. I said that. Here, Bhagavan takes us to the next place where the vasanas are completely burnt. The vasanas are completely burnt. There, it is like, he says it is like somebody in a Puranic recital, story recital, having fixed their mind elsewhere. That means, though the instruments are doing the action, apparently, but their ego doesn't even perceive those differences. It is just going on without even the description of the events. So the next level, that all these happenings are only the self, are only the spurana, is what happens when all the vasanas are eliminated. That in the surrendered ego, there is a clarity as to how the Ishvara Shakti pushes the instruments. So when all the vasanas are erased by enquiry, then there is only this Purana. So though in other sides, the activities are going on, the words are properly said, the cooking is properly done, the chutney is properly done, everything is done properly, but the attention of the jnani who has crossed all the vasanas is always in the spurana. That the details of the actions, though it is all being done perfectly, is not being kept by him. The attention is only on the spurana. That is what the great devotees call as Bhagavat Akara Vritti. That they see everything as Bhagavan, that they see everything as Ramana. There, the individual description of the events is also not held by such jnanis. So, the Anubhava in the Vasanas being completely erased. Vasanas is the proclivity, the push that comes from within. Now, where the enquiry takes to elimination of all the vasanas. All the vasanas means the vasanas which the Ishvara uses to dream about this world. This entire creation is a dream in the Ishvara's mind. The Ishvara Kalpana is also crossed by the one in whom all the vasanas are died. That's what Bhagavan says to Kapali Shastri in Saddarshana Bhashya, that with enquiry, with erasing of vasanas, one has to transcend the Ishvara Kalpana also. To such a one, the Ishvara's nature, not as a dreamer, not as a pusher of prarabdha, but as this Purana is directly felt, and their minds are always attentive only to the Purana. So in their mind, the feeling that these things are being done by others or by oneself is not there. That is why it is said this whole doing, this whole creation is a Puranic story. But their attention is always in the Spurana. Therefore, the Puranic story, the others may feel he is also listening to the Puranic story, but that is not true as an Anubhava for the Jnani in whom all the Vasanas have died. All the Vasanas means that the Ishvara Kalpana for the Prarabdha also is crossed, and therefore this Purana alone, the Turiya Tita Sthiti, where this Purana alone is shining, is where the Jnani is. In fact, the Jnani is no more there, only the Turiya Tita is there. To such a one, though the parts may be appearing to others that he is functioning, and that too very clearly, but in such a one, there is no such thought that even Prarabdha is being carried out. Forget the bondage, that Ishvara is there and he is running everything according to the Prarabdha. That thought is also not there, because for doing that creation also, vasanas are required to rise from the heart and sprout out through. Therefore, in whom the vasanas have completely died, the Ishvara Kalpana is also transcended. Only the Spurana Anubhava is there, and that is what is mentioned in this verse. But we have to just keep the practice of who am I going. It will automatically take us to that point where we clearly understand that it is God who is pushing all these actions. And we'll continue the enquiry further till even those vasanas required for creation of the prarabdha karmas to play out, they are also erased, and one abides as this Purana itself. There, to such a one, only in others' eyes, such a one is acting. For such a one, the whole creation being subdued in the Purana, there is no action left for him. Krityamastikim swastitim yataha is what Bhagavan says. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us merely stick to the process that Bhagavan has given. Whenever a thought arises, diligently inquire, for whom is this thought? This thought is for me. Who am I? That is all one has to do. The rest of the things will happen automatically, because that is the truth. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in practice of Atma Ucharan for 10 minutes. Revatima, you can help us out?
Yes, uncle. I'll set the alarm.
Namo Namo. Namo Ramana. I request Venkatesh ji to give us the summing up remarks. Namo Ramana, sir.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gurur Murti, Pujamulam Gurur Padam, Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam, Mokshamulam Gurur Kripa. Namo Ramana. So we are dealing with a very nice situation where we, at one level, we say that the world is created by the creator. There's a creator, there's God who created this whole world. Okay, so when he created this, each one of us and everything that's around, there's a particular purpose he created everything. It's not that he created it for nothing. So, and when he created this, he wanted to have a storyline behind that. Though the storyline should be, it should have some drama, it should have some highs, it should have some lows, it should have some, ups and downs in this whole drama. So then what God thought was, okay, let me do one thing, let me put a little rajas into the human beings. So what he did, he obviously we all know the example of there was a man and a woman, and he gave them an apple, and that's when the whole storyline started. So effectively, what has happened is there is a drama that's being played out, and who's he? Krishna says, "I'm the beginning, middle, and end of everything." So Krishna is there through and through about this drama. So what happens? So if he's there through and through, then why all this drama? But then, if there is a drama that's playing out, there must be a storyline. So then what happened? Because of this little rajas that he put in, then he got somebody to be very intelligent, somebody to be less intelligent, somebody a little more, some with more money, somebody who plays good tennis. For example, Roger Federer plays good tennis. So he played the role of Roger Federer also, and he played the role of all the audience, all the people watching that match. So everybody started talking about this storyline, this drama that is happening. So people started liking this drama. Now what happened was, individually what happened was that if we are saying that God sits within each one of us, then why are we not able to see him? So there is some sort of a cover, So God, he sits inside you, and we have forgotten this God. So what is this whole drama is about this? That we have forgotten who this God is, who's sitting within, and we are acting like human beings. We are divine beings acting like human beings. So this whole karma theory is all around this. Oh, I'm an ordinary being. I'm a little piece of dust, and I have to get somewhere. I have to do sadhana. I have to get rid this whole sanchita karma is there. This prarabdha karma, agami karma. There's a little all these heavy loads sitting on my shoulders, and I have to somehow get rid of it. Now Bhagwan says, "Hey, foolish Venkatesh, you are already divine. You've forgotten it. That's the only problem with you. You've forgotten who you really are, and you are thinking all these karmas and all actually are true. So actually these things are actually not true. But because there is a drama being played out. In a drama it cannot be that there is no high and low and all. So that's why this thing called prarabdha, sanchita, all these different karmas are part of this drama. And who's playing this drama? This drama is being played by the Lord Himself, by God Himself. He's playing out this drama. So I'll read some inputs that Swami Shivananda is giving us today. about this karma. And why this karma is all about. It is because we identify ourselves with this body, mind, ego. That's why we think all these karmas are all true in this drama. Okay, but once we understand we are that Satchidananda Atman, then all these karmas are all, there's nothing. It's just like a vaporware. So what Swami Shivananda says is the storeroom is the sanchita, the storeroom which you have in your house, where you're keeping all rations. That is the sanchita karma. The articles that are put in the shop for sale are prarabdha. That means the shopkeeper may have and he puts some things on for sale. That is the prarabdha karma, and the daily sale proceeds are the agami karma. So the big storehouse for paddy represents sanchita karma. The paddy that has been taken out separately for the use of current year corresponds to prarabdha, and the paddy that is growing in the fields in the current year represents agami karma or kriyamana. So, what Bhagavan is trying to, so Shivananda is also trying to say, Sanchita karmas are destroyed by Brahmajnana. That means whatever is going to happen. Now there is a storehouse. So if you understand what if you get Brahmajnana, then Sanchita karmas are destroyed. One should enjoy the prarabdha anyhow. Now, why this is important is, if each one of us is given a role to play, and you are on the stage playing the role of whichever role you're playing, you can't come back. You can't come back and say, I'm not playing this role. No, 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 I'm not playing this role. You have to play the role very, very well. So that prarabdha karma you have to sit and enjoy it. Enjoy it means what? It is going to come. How it will come and how it will go, we do not know. It will maybe some right now something is being spoken, something being heard. All this is happening by prarabdha karma. So he says that in Mahabharata also you will find the exertion, purushartha and prarabdha combined bring about fruits. If you are ailing, if you are not feeling well, you must do purushartha. Means you must take medicine. You must take medicine if you are not feeling well. And you leave the results to prarabdha. Means whatever is going to happen in the drama of life, whatever is going to happen, it will happen. So why are you worried about prarabdha? What you have to exert yourself, you have to do your role very, very well. That's called purushartha. So, prarabdha can elevate anybody to any level, even to Godhead. Bhagavan Swami Shivananda says, you are not bound. See, this is a very important thing. We all have to understand we are not bound. We think we are bound because of the mind, but we are actually free. We are divine. So, you have got free will. You cannot change the experience, the results of prarabdha, but you can change your future by right thinking and right action, and thus make your will pure and irresistible. So he says the husk is natural to rice and the rust to the copper, yet they disappear through efforts made. Even so, ajnana, which clings to the jiva or individual soul, can be made to disappear through the ceaseless atmic inquiry. That's what Nandakumar was saying. You have to inquire. When you keep inquiring, do the atmic inquiry, what happens? It is like that, removing the husk from the rice or removing the rust from the copper, which is basically antarkarana shuddhi. So what happens? It destroys the avidya. May you rest incomparably firm in your own self. So there's one philosopher who says everything is prearranged in the grand plan of grand scheme. God knows the whole details of evolution of a man from mineral life till he becomes a Jivan Mukta or a liberated soul. In reality, all is Prarabdha only. We will have to preach Purushartha just to give an impetus for the man to work in right earnest. Otherwise, we'll become slothful and dull. So, what Swami Shivananda is also trying to say is no one can remain quiet even for a second. No one can become a fatalist. There is an urge or stimulus from within to work. So Swami Shivananda says that how does Purushartha bring results? How does Prarabdha operate? It is very difficult to say. It's very difficult to say how this works and how does work. Just as there is Prarabdha for the individual, so also Prarabdha for the world also. This is called collective Prarabdha. So what is really happening? In this drama of life, we have to understand that we are putting labels to all this. Okay, if something good happens in my life, it was because of Purushartha, because of my efforts that something good happened. And suddenly what happens? Something bad happens. Oh, this happened because of Prarabdha. I like putting labels to any situation that comes. But this situation is where? This is in the body mind. We have to understand, and intellect. We have to understand this very clearly. And this is taking you away from the self. The mind does not want you to go to the self. It does not want, imagine if everybody in the world was a jnani. How boring this world would have been. There would not be any drama at all. There would not be story in this drama at all. But God has put different people between Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, has given mixtures to everybody, and everybody is playing their own role. But we are thinking that we are playing these roles. That's when the problem comes. So, as the second verse that we read today, Swami Chidananda used to always say, because he was Jnani, he'll be saying, hey, the fellow sitting in front will put his hand under his chin and watch me as if he's listening to me very attentively, but actually his mind is somewhere else. He's actually not listening to me, but he will act as if he's listening to me. So the point really is that important thing is we have to, why your mind will run away outside? Because of the vasanas. The trick about all this is to come back and realize you are that Satchidananda Atman, you are the all-pervading consciousness, you're not this body. Once you understand you're the all-pervading consciousness, you're not this body, mind, intellect, then you realize, oh, this drama of life is going on, every day it goes on, I am going to play my role very, very well, and I'm not going to be attached to this role because I know I am that consciousness which is the witness to this whole drama, and nothing happens to me at all. Man, if somebody says, oh, this is because of Prarabdha, Sanchita, Agami, inside you laugh at yourself and say, oh, this is all God's part of God's drama, let him play it out, whatever he wants to play, but I am going to be established in the self. That is the biggest lesson that Bhagwan and Swami Shivananda, all of them want us to hold on to, is to the self. Once you hold on to the self, you know the reality of this drama that is being played out, and all these karmas that are being played out is part of God's own creation. And let's enjoy it. And what Swami Shivananda says, you must roar like a lion, don't bleat like a sheep. Roar like a lion. Why? Because you are that Satchidananda Atman. You pervade everything. You are that. So today on his Mahasamadhi, let's all roar like lions and not bleat like sheep. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana, sir. Thank you. Namo Ramana. Vaibhavji and Pratnama, we can start the chanting.
Yes, sir. Namo Ramana. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितम् श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चेत् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थळे लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ च्यूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदचलकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्रीशोणाचलऋद्बोधस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ ऋक्षान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि यस्थानोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याजनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः ऋन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनासेकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नमः इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय
नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगीये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡು ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆ ಬಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।
Jai.